Welcome to Integrity Inspire, your daily dose of inspiration and motivation, featuring the bright and talented members of the Integrity Marketing Group family. Now, here's your host, Integrity co-founder and CEO, Brian W. Adams.
Hello, everybody, and thanks so much for joining today's Inspire podcast. I've got an incredible couple that I can't wait to introduce you to. And they've built an amazing business about serving others, but they have a unique story, especially a love story that I can't wait to get into. And I'm joined here today by Eric and Leslie McGuffie of Axxess Benefit Consultants out of Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you guys so much for joining us here in Dallas.
For having us.
Hey, man, we are so excited to have you guys here as partners at Integrity and sharing your story at Inspire. Now, we were just talking about this. Most people, go through a process of meeting their spouse. And, it's sometimes you wait a long time. You got to go through a lot of dating and a lot of different circumstances. But you guys were high school sweethearts.
We were.
Or still are, I guess.
And still are.
Tell us about that. How did you guys meet?
I'm gonna let her tell the story because there's a different variation every single time.
So his story is wrong.
Y'all grew up, where'd y'all, California, right?
Los Angeles,
Los Angeles. We both grew up in South Central Los Angeles. Actually, he was South Central, I was the Crenshaw district. We didn't go to the neighborhood schools. We got bused to the Valley, and we went to school at Birmingham High School. And that's where we met when we were seniors. I was a cheerleader, and he was a football player.
What position did you play?
Cornerback.
Yes. Oh, man, I bet you were locked down.
I was.
You're tall. Back then, they didn't have tall guys playing corner as much. They had little
back then, I was only 5'9".
Oh, really?
5'9", about 165.
Stretched it out, man.
Yeah, I did. A little bit.
Because you're like over 6 foot now.
I'm 6 feet.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So you were cornerback. She was cheerleader.
He would show up at cheerleading practice, and he would just be watching. He would smile and wink at me. And then he would show up like outside my homeroom, just standing in the hallway. His class wasn't over there. And then he'd be smiling and winking at me. And so that's kind of how we got started.
And he's still smiling at you.
And winking at me still.
Nothing changed.
So you grew up in South Central LA in Crenshaw, and then you got bused to the Valley. So I grew up in a small town in West Texas. I'm not sure I even understand what that was like. So how far was that bus ride?
This is an hour trip every morning. So we had
With
to wake up
traffic.
5 o'clock.
Oh
Be at the bus
gosh.
stop at 6 to get to school
And
on time at 8.
Did your parents advocate for you guys to go to what was the name of the high school?
Birmingham.
Birmingham. Did your parents say, look, we want to do this, or how did that process work?
I was raised by a single mom. I was the only child. I was very mature, always for my age, and my mother kind of just let me decide where I wanted to go to school.
Yeah.
She wanted me to go to a private school, and she knew somebody who was going to get me a scholarship to go. I didn't want to. I wanted to stay at public school and ride the bus to the Valley. So
Wow.
Yeah.
An hour commute every day
Every
as a
morning.
kid. And then after football practice and all that other stuff, man, that had to be
Yeah.
Yeah.
that had to be crazy. And then you ended up going to USC
right,
and got
Trojans.
go Trojans. I mean, we were just talking. I've always, whenever I was a kid, my sister went to California for something, and she brought me back a USC Trojans shirt, and I was probably 13, and it was one of my favorite shirts of all time. And at Christmas, my nephew, who's now like 20-something, walked in wearing it, and he's like found this
Wow.
vintage thing in my mom and dad's house. I'm like, bro, that's like one of my favorite shirts. Take that off. He's like, no, man, it's not one of my favorite shirts. So I've always loved the Trojans.
love that
Yeah.
as well.
It's always such an amazing
I think part of the
story.
reason I went was because he loved them so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a football fan. Loved the Trojans. I was everything Los Angeles. So
Yeah.
football, it was USC. Basketball, UCLA. So I was pretty much around the whole spectrum.
Now
Kings,
that
Lakers.
wasn't back when Wooden was there? That was
No.
Wooden. That would have been after Wooden left.
Yeah, I forgot. I don't recall. I know it was Lorenzo Romar at one particular time. They had several coaches around the time, but Wooden was gone.
Man, I tell you what, I've read John Wooden's book. It is one of the best books, period, I think. I mean, it's just so simple. I mean, he was teaching I think we forget the basics in life a lot, but he was teaching like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, like how to put his socks on. And like these guys, like he would be like every first practice, I mean, going back to basics, like here's how you put on your socks. Wow. And he's like, because if you don't do this right, you're going to get a blister. If you get a blister, you can't play.
Wow.
And he was just such an incredible
He's a
incredible
great
coach.
teacher. I mean, they remained that close knit, that friendship till he passed away.
Until he passed away, yeah. And they won
incredible.
10 titles in 12 years.
Unbelievable.
I mean, that's just never going to be.
I mean, you think about the Celtics,
yeah.
you know, but
it's just amazing.
It is.
It's just amazing. So then you started out your sales career selling encyclopedias. Tell us about that, man.
man, to this day, it's probably one of my favorite jobs.
Really?
I enjoy selling books.
So what was so listen, if you're going to be in different sales skills, you got to have sales skills to do that. And certain parts of insurance, boy, you got to really have your skills down.
You do?
Selling encyclopedias, now that's got to be like real sales.
It was tough. It was.
Yeah. What was
Because-
the sales pitch like?
Let's see if I can remember the sales pitch. So it was Encyclopedias Britannica. So it was a 32-volume set. So let me see if I can remember this.
Was that 36
This is a
years
long time
ago?
You know, but it's 32 volumes. The first 2 volumes was your ready reference. Then you had your outline of knowledge. Then you didn't have your reference. Then you had an outline of knowledge. So basically, when I went into a house to sell these books, okay, it was one of two things, okay? And I forgive me for saying this. Do you want your kids to just watch TV, and I'm going to be correct with my words, and be stupid?
Yeah.
Or would you like to open up the world to your children?
Wow.
You know, where they can have an imagination and travel anywhere they like to go.
Yeah.
You know, and people like, you know what? Yes, nobody want their kids to lack education.
Yeah.
So that's what they wanted. They wanted, you know, because a lot of folks couldn't afford it. In the area that I worked, they can't afford it to travel. So the books I sold was $50 down payment, $50 a month, and it was a great sale. I sold a lot of them.
Yeah, I bet you did.
They didn't pay the bills all the time because, you know, there's chargebacks and everything else associated with it. But I loved the job. It gave me an opportunity to meet so many people, you know, and figure out what they was going through life. And it pretty much catapulted me into getting into the insurance sales, where it's pretty much the same type of, you know, dealing with personalities.
Yeah, you're still trying to protect people. You're still trying to say, listen, let's make sure you're not, you know, your family's protected with this health insurance plan or this life insurance plan. But that was back before, I mean, that was back when people had like 13 channels. Like I remember growing up and you had like 12, 13 channels. And you had to, I mean, a lot of young people don't remember this. But you remember you had to get up and actually turn the knob.
Yeah.
You didn't even have remotes.
Yeah.
I had a clothes hanger on the antennas.
So the fact that you're saying like, listen, I mean, they didn't have YouTube. I mean, we didn't have all that stuff.
No.
And so this was the way that, you know, you learned. I remember my parents having Encyclopedia Britannica. Somebody came to our house, sold those. I wonder where those are now. They'd probably be worth a lot of money because they were beautiful bound books.
Oh, beautiful books.
So you guys started that out, and then after high school, how did you guys get married? So what was so high school sweethearts? Finish that part of the story.
So after high school, I went to college right after, and then Eric waited a year before he went to college. And during that time, you did security guard work and like.
That's security guard.
Yeah, because he was finding himself preparing to take the SATs and stuff like that, which I kind of remember helping you with, and his college applications. And then the following year, he went to San Diego State University. And then we just kind of broke up for a minute because he was a couple hours away. And
worst mistake of her life. She was lucky though. She found her way back.
I asked him for just a little bit of a break, and it ended up being almost a year, you know. But it made me appreciate him more when we got back together, because I dated a little bit in between, and they were, oh my gosh, it was. So we got back together, and we've been together ever since.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So now today, you guys have 6 boys. Now, you said 6 men earlier, right?
6 men.
6 men.
Grown men, ages. We have 29-year-old twins, and then we have a 36-year-old who's the oldest, and every other age in between.
Oh my gosh. So I think you saw that you had 6 under 6 at one point.
Our oldest was 6 years old when the twins were born.
Those days had to be crazy, man. Like I got 2 boys, and it's crazy now, but 6 under 6 had to be just
That's fun.
Unbelievable.
We enjoyed it.
We were young. We were in our 20s, so And we were
That's
kind
so
of growing up with them.
And now you got grandkids. You have any girls you have any granddaughters?
Mostly girls.
Mostly girls. Well, that's awesome because you had all boys. Now you
It is. But our sons are learning what it is to deal with women, with girls, because I was the only woman in the house for so long, and that's all that they remember. Yeah. And so now, like, they all have daughters. Actually, one of them has a boy only, but the rest of them have daughters, and they're learning a whole new language. They're going through it a little bit. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So how did you end up in the insurance business?
Wow. So that's interesting. I was selling books at the time, and it was another person. We were both branch managers, and he had found a job with a company in Los Angeles, and we told each other because we knew Britannica was phasing out because computers is just coming out.
Yeah.
So we told each other, say, whoever finds a job first, you have to help the other one out. So I was at the Pomona Fair, working a booth, selling books. He happens to walk up. He said, McGuffie, what are you still doing here? I said, wait a minute, did you find something you didn't tell me? Handed me his business cards. They called me Monday. Tuesday, I had a job working for an insurance company, selling Medicare products. At that one particular company, then I transitioned to another company where he was promoted and he was VP over there, so he brought me with him.
That's awesome.
At that time, I had the opportunity to sell final expense and long-term care, so I broadened my horizon a little bit.
That's awesome.
And then I was there for a couple of years. Then we moved to Atlanta in 2004.
Yeah.
And at that time, I applied for a job at the current company, but nobody wouldn't give me an opportunity.
Really?
Yeah. And it was brand new in that market, selling Medicare products, but maybe they thought I was just overqualified because I had 8 years under my belt at that time.
Yeah. And so then you got going, and then you decided to start Axxess. And what led you to start a new company and create what you've done today?
Very interesting. So I was at the company for 14 years. I was a sales manager there, and I got bored. I got complacent, and it's just like there's got to be something better. I wanted to stay in the business, but it was just when it got to a point where one of my favorite agents at that time, she had said something, I snapped on her in a nice way. Yeah. But it was my first time ever doing it. And that's when I realized, I said, okay, it's time to go. Yeah. So, basically I gave my notice and I started Axxess Benefit Consultants.
Wow. And immediately you had like 50 agents joining you, right? I mean, it was, I know it's always hard to start a business.
It is.
But I mean, you had people, you're such a great leader that people wanted to follow you immediately. And today you guys are helping people all over the Southeast and continuing to build an amazing business, and even your kids are getting in the business, I understand. So you have, how many sons are now getting their license?
Wow, we have 5 that are licensed, 4 that are working with the business. And that was just like many years worth of selling them on the opportunities, We found it to be a blessing to be in this industry, because when our kids were growing up, Eric was able to be everywhere, and still work. He could be at the basketball games, he could be at the school functions. He actually coached all of their teams, basketball, football, baseball, while they were growing up. And so, of course, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I was the team mom for them a lot. And so we were just able to pour into our kids while also supporting our family. Yeah. And so as they got older, Eric would tell them when they turned 18, get your license, and we're going to do other stuff. Or, they had to go their own way. And eventually, the closer they got to 30, they're like, okay, let me check this out. Yeah.
Hey man, but you got to go out and find your own way.
You have to.
Yeah. But this is such an incredible business. We say this all the time. I mean, I think especially for the next generation, I mean, they want to make sure that they're making an impact and they're doing something that really matters. And they want to kind of do it on their own schedule in a lot of different ways. And what better business can you have an impact? Can you really help people in so many different ways? And in this business, like you were talking about, you can make your own schedule. Yeah. And coaching your family's team, man, that takes a lot of dedication. So my son's a 5th grader, and going through a little bit of a transition. The team he had been playing on, he had been playing a team up in flag football, And that team, now they're all kind of going out to tackle, and he's still in 5th grade. And so we've been trying to figure out a team and stuff. So my wife ended up kind of rallying a group of guys from his school, and they're all stud little athletes. I mean, they're good, but some of them never played football before, and they needed a coach. So I signed up to be an assistant coach, first time ever.
Wow.
Like I've never coached anything. I've always been the fun team dad that would bring some music and stuff, but I was never the guy who was like I'll jump in because I never have that much time. I'm having the best time ever.
It is so rewarding.
It is. It's fun.
But man,
It's
I love it, and I miss it.
it is so fun. And one of our guys, Stephen Prince, who's been with us for a long time, he did a lot of coaching with his kids. He's given me a lot of plays. Steve Young started giving me plays. He's coaching his daughters, but his plays are like Taylor Swift and all these. These got these fun names. I'm like, my boys aren't into that, so I'm having to change up some names. But man, what advice do you have on coaching? I'd love to learn from that. But also, how do you translate that to coaching agents?
I had a totally different style than a lot of the coaches at the park. I coached a lot of rec ball. I did some Pop Warner as well. My advice is, talk to the kids like they're adults.
Yeah.
You don't have to yell at the kids.
I agree.
You don't get anything accomplished by yelling at the kids because you're going to hurt their feelings. They're very impressionable at that age.
Yeah.
Just have a conversation with them. I started with kids who never played before, okay? After that year I coached them, these kids were studs.
Yeah.
They just needed somebody to talk to them. You don't want to just yell at them, berate them. You want to inspire them.
Yeah.
Inspire these kids, and that's how they'll learn. And they'll want to play for you. They want to run through a wall for you.
Yeah.
And they did that. We won several championships, cities.
That's so fun.
Yeah, it's great.
So fun. There's a kid on the team. The first game, first game, he never played before, and he's just a great little athlete. And we played basketball with him. This kid, he couldn't shoot to save his life. I mean, I swear, he never made a point all season, but he got like 12 rebounds a game. Like he's tall and he just goes up and gets it, and he just controlled the paint. And so I was like, man, he's going to be an amazing receiver. And he's like, I don't know. And we didn't even think he was going to play with us. And we talked him into it, convinced him. He had 3 touchdowns in the first game. And I was like, man, I told you, bro, like you're going to be and it's amazing
awesome.
to watch his confidence just even grow in that. And it's funny, the kids, my son's playing quarterback, and the kids were like, why do you always throw it to him? And he's like, because he always catches it. And I was like, that's right. Like it's fun to watch how that.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing happens with agents. Like as soon as you get somebody in this business, it's a hard business to get into. And if you can kind of coach them, show them that you believe in them, and also just say like this, if you'll follow me. Yeah. And look, I agree, man. Don't be hard on them because it's hard enough.
It is.
But let's encourage them, inspire them, and if you show them that success, man, they'll run through a wall.
Yeah, it's the same thing with some of the agents right now. So a lot of these agents, a few of them I can name, and they just took the ball and ran with them. You show them how to do it. You go out, you send them out with other agents. Because when you sell, everybody has their personalities, and it's going to differ from person to person how you go into the house and how you react and how you sell and different techniques. This guy is just phenomenal now. He is one of the top agents on my team, and he never had a license. When he got his license, just did his thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And think about how many lives he's impacting today. I mean, because of that.
Yeah.
So one of the things we talk about here at Integrity a lot is legacy. I'm a big believer in legacy planning and being thoughtful. I mean, we all have like this generational impact that we can have, not only in our families, but our business in so many different ways. And people like you and me, I try not to have a difference between my family life and my business life. Like, I mean, I try to bring my kids up here. I try to, if we're doing a toy drive, I'm tying in my kids. We're trying to, I mean, I don't want to compartmentalize things. There's some people who are like, this is my business life. This is my personal life. It's hard to do that, especially when you're growing a business like you guys are.
Right.
And you guys have really been tying in your kids in so many different ways in your family, which ultimately leads to that legacy. What is the hope that you have kind of for the future generation?
Well, for our kids, it was important first to be an example. Eric convinced me to get licensed in 2010 because we had 3 kids in college and 3 kids in high school about to go to college. And, I never thought of myself as a salesperson, but I said, okay, I can't not do it. I can't allow something to conquer me. So I passed my test the first time around and I sold Medicare Advantage plans and I did pretty well. And, I actually liked it because this is the way he convinced me. He said, just work 2 months out of the year because during open enrollment.
Yeah.
And I did that. And I was happy that my kids were able to see me do that, to plow ahead and plow through and to be something that I never thought that I could be, which is sales. And I did really well. And so when it came time for them to come out of college and high school and to get licensed, I could encourage them. I could help them study for the test and just show them how to sell. And even now, they're still calling. They call me every day. I have this case and this is what's going on and, what do I do? And I'm helping them. I'm helping the agents as well. They're calling, because I've had that experience myself. And so as far as legacy, you kind of have to show people, what you want them to become. You have to give them an example. Yeah. And then you build that foundation and that structure for them so that there's a place for them if they want it. Yeah, and then going forward, again, we're still building. We just started Axxess 5 years ago. 5 years now?
5 years, next month.
Yeah, so, he's been selling for 30 years, and I've been selling for, 14?
Almost 15, yeah.
Yeah,
15
and
years.
so together, we can build a strong foundation for our kids, something if they choose to come on board, if they choose to continue the legacy for their kids too. It's really just about providing, those opportunities for them.
I love that. I love that. So now that we're joining forces and you're partnering with Integrity, what are you most excited about? What can we do to help you guys serve even more people?
It's always about the intangibles for me. Yes, Integrity has, the technology that's going to be great for us because obviously I'm in operations. So I'm really looking forward to those technological solutions to the, the systems that we have. Prior to partnering with Integrity, we had to go out and get our own CRM. Yeah. We're processing commissions, because we have downline agencies that, partner with us as well. So we have a lot of operations systems challenges that we hope that Integrity can solve for us. Yeah. But it's really more about the intangibles. When we visited here the first time, it really felt like we were aligned. Our values align with Integrity. We're really big on, actually that was one of the words in our mission statement. We operate with integrity, transparency, and honesty.
I love that.
We believe in sowing seeds, good seeds so that we can have good success. And that's what we felt when we came here to meet with everybody here. And then now we're meeting with you. And so we're honored to have this conversation.
Look, that means so much to me. And I think that seed analogy is such an important part about making sure that we're planting seeds that will bear a lot of fruit. And the opportunity that we have, and I think about this a lot personally, is coming back to legacy. We're planting seeds that for trees that we'll never set under the shade of, right?
Right.
But if we do it right, if we really are, preparing the soil and making sure that it's all right and we're planting the seeds in the right places, there's no telling where we can go from here. And I say this all the time. I think we're just getting started. And I think we haven't scratched the surface on helping people more holistically plan for their life, health, and wealth needs. And there's so many people that need our services that we're providing. And we just need to plant more seeds. And ultimately, what will that legacy lead to? Man, there's no telling. And it's kind of like what you guys are building today is something that inspires me. And we're so honored to be your partner. I can't wait to see how we can serve even more people and can't wait to see even your family in this business. Because this is, we talk about core values. One of our core values is service. One of our core values is respect, partnership, integrity. But it's also about family. Yes. And this is about serving American families, about serving our families, about serving the Integrity family and now the Axxess family. And together, if we focus on those core values, there's no limit to how many people we can help plan for the good days ahead. So thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
We are so honored to be your partner. And listen, this business is such a rich business to be able to take experiences like these and serve even more people. and the opportunity we have to come together. And if we can take burdens off of different businesses like yours so that you're not having to deal with some of that back office side of the things, think about how many more people we can serve and how many more seeds we can plant. And so I hope you guys have been as inspired today as I have been with the McGuffies. And I can't wait to see where we go from here. God bless you all and have a great week.